I feel like there's a resonance for me around the work that I do, with organizations and communities around building equity capacity. I really believe one of the things that we need to do is to build our ability to hold difference, to engage with difference, and that fragility we feel when we hear maybe something that scares us is how can we lean in with curiosity? How can we interrogate the story we're telling ourselves about what we're hearing? Because I liken it to, the Black Lives Matter movement, for example, that many people hear that when you hear Black Lives Matter, for some people that is equated with, well, you're anti-white. And that's not the point. It's about saying, that we are, that the Black community is worthy and deserves equity, and that it's everybody's birthright, as you said, like you talked about children, and that ladders up to humanity around, like, it's fundamental human rights. And I know that's part of the heart of what you talk about.
Right. And it's really breaking down that systemic racism. It's breaking down that systemic programming that we have been indoctrinated into, especially as settlers in Canada, as a people who have been led by whiteness our whole existence. It is really hard. It is really uncomfortable for those conversations, but we really do need to acknowledge why we need to have Black Lives Matter, why we need to have pro-Palestinian, why we need to have reconciliation with Indigenous people, because these are uncomfortable conversations, but we need to take responsibility and accountability so that there is solidarity and there is freedom and there is a sense of accountability and future trust to build those communities that encompasses those foundations of solidarity.
Oh, yes. And I think about the oppressive systems. You talked about whiteness, right? And like, I think about systems of oppression like white supremacy, like patriarchy. So maybe for some viewers, those might feel like big words. It could be sexism, racism, homophobia. Those are oppressive systems. And really, they're structures within the greater society that allow inequities to continue. And these systems allow the perpetuation of policies and practices that disadvantage, harm, and really marginalize stakeholders and groups in the community for reasons that are really centered on identity. And many of our identity aspects, we don't choose. We don't choose where we're born. We don't choose the color of our skin. And I think about conversations I have with my children about equity, and not to patronize, kind of not to patronize the conversation, but I know that in a simple way to be able to talk to my kids about why inclusion, equity, and why it's important to celebrate, when June is National Indigenous History Month, when February is Black History Month. We need to celebrate those movements until the day where we no longer need those months, because everyone is included and everyone's contribution is celebrated. Everybody has access to the same things. And so
I saw a really great trend too with Black History Month. They were calling it Black Future Month, because why are we continuously focusing on the history of slavery? And why aren't we looking at the future of entrepreneurs and the future of successful Black entrepreneurs and people in general? So it is a really interesting way of thinking now into the future. Like, we acknowledge the past, we take accountability, we take action, and we look forward. And I think that that's the main thing that has been a standing point, especially for the liberation of Palestine, is that we continuously look back, and we're continuously looking back at, they did this and these people did this and these people killed so many people. And it's like, just stop. Like, just stop it now and let's build in the future. So I think that there just needs to be those awkward conversations of saying, like, both, like, we just need to come together again.